Welcome to the audio laboratory. Layering the same notes multiple times on top of each other can produce wonderful effects. Let's take a closer look at this. Here we have a sawtooth wave. I can control the pitch with this knob. If we add a second sawtooth oscillator, the signal simply gets louder. It's just two sawtooth waves stacked on top of each other. But if we detune one of the oscillators, they start interacting with each other. Because the cycle of the second oscillator is slightly different, there's a constant shift happening. Let's zoom out a bit. Sometimes the peaks and valleys align perfectly, and sometimes they cancel each other out, which creates an interesting pulsating movement. If you add even more slightly detuned oscillators, you get what's called a supersaw. This is very much like many people singing the same note together in a choir, which is where the effect gets its name from: chorus or chorusing. Instruments with multiple strings per note, like a 12-string guitar, a mandolin, or even the piano, make use of the same principle. Let's take a look at how we can use the power of the chorusing effect in the digital audio workstation. Here we have an electric guitar. If we just duplicate the track and layer it on top, it simply gets louder. That's because it's an identical copy. The peaks and valleys align perfectly and just amplify each other. But if we record the part again and layer it on top, something really interesting will happen. Very much like the two oscillators from our experiment before, these two guitar recordings are very similar to another, but they're not exactly the same. No matter how hard you try, there are always minute differences in the performance, and so the two recordings complement each other, which results in a bigger, fuller sound. This is where the human imperfection can be used to our advantage, finally. But here comes the cherry on top. Make sure you're listening to this on headphones or stereo speakers, because we can pan the double-tracked recordings left and right for a huge stereo sound. You can mix things up by changing the sound for each recording. You could use a different guitar, reposition the mic, or change your amp and pedal settings. Here's another example. If you don't want to record the same part multiple times to achieve a chorusing effect, you can do the next best thing and use hardware or plugins to imitate the effect. These are simply called chorus. What a chorus does is it basically takes the input signal and doubles it, but with slight imperfections like variations in time and pitch. Of course, that's not really the same as actually putting in the work and double-tracking a part. But the result is a very interesting and characteristic effect nonetheless. Chorus adds more depth and richness to his sound, and also creates interest because of the constant modulation that's happening. And a great bonus is that most chorus effects can turn a mono signal into stereo, instantly making everything wider. This particular chorus is an absolute favorite of ours. It's actually a free standalone version of the chorus found in the Tal Juno LX synthesizer, which of course is based on the Roland Juno 60. When designing a hardware synthesizer, putting one single chorus effect on top of everything is so much more economical than adding expensive analog oscillators that you could detune against each other. I'd say it's a pretty good compromise. And for many people, chorus is the special sauce in their synthesizer recipes. There are also some other great free chorus plugins available, like Magic Switch by Baby Audio or Multiply by Acorn Digital. We leave the links in the comments, and be sure to tell us about your favorite chorus plugins as well. Double tracking and chorus are excellent tools to make your production sound wider and fuller. But be careful, if you overdo it, you'll end up back in the 80s. Or maybe that's exactly what you want. That's it for this episode. Don't hesitate to leave a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this one, subscribe and ring the bell.
Bunny.